Welcome to the launch of Criminal Shorts, our anthology. And we've got two contributors with us right now. So I'm going to ask Sheila and Tony to introduce themselves properly. So Sheila, do you want to go first?
Yeah, Sheila's my non-writing name, actually. I write usually under the name Cecilia Peartree. And in real life, I used to be a database manager at an art gallery. But I've been writing on the side for some time. Now I write mysteries and some historical novels.
Fantastic. And Tony, tell us about your things other than the anthology.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sort of best known for my D.I. Bliss series, and he came to the rescue because I had absolutely no story. I really wanted to do a story for this book because I'd worked in education for a number of years, and actually for 17 of them, I was about 15 miles away from the Red Kite Academy, so or where it is now. So I wanted to do the story, and Bliss came to the rescue. I just wanted to show, I spent a lot of time planning and plotting with a lot of other people. And after several weeks of heavy plotting, this is what I came up with. That was it. That was my plot. Bliss and Chandler go to Ireland to see his mum, mayhem ensues. That was my story, really. It may or may not involve red diesel, hooky gear, hair coursing, smuggling, gun running, the church, and maybe the Tufty Club wing of the IRA. But it definitely involves Jimmy Bliss, his mum, Penny Chandler, and a whole lot of sarcasm.
Before I ask you to tell us about your story, I'll call you Cecilia for the duration of the interview. I just want to say happy birthday to our admin, the gorgeous Lucy Sampson. Cheers to you, Lucy. Hope you've had a lovely day. Hello to your dad and B and Zeth as well.
Yes,
so, Cecilia, tell us about your story.
Yeah, my story is called The Coastal Path, and it sprung from some walks that my sister-in-law dragged me on round the Fife Coastal Path. We didn't do it all in one go, but in easy stages. And it's about someone who walks round the coastal path, but she has a kind of ulterior motive, which becomes apparent quite quickly. And I must confess at this point that the coastal path started out with about 15,000 words of description of the coastal path, and then a few thousand of actual story. So it's been totally cut down to size for this, and I think it's much better for that. And I really wanted, like Tony, I really wanted to support this this anthology because I had a son who didn't fit in well to mainstream education, and it sounded like the Red Kite Academy was the kind of school that he really, really should have gone to, except that we live in Edinburgh.
Quite a commute.
Yeah.
So, Katie, hello. Thank you so much for joining us, especially at short notice.
I'm so sorry for being late.
Yourself? Don't worry at all. So thrilled to have you with us. Do you want to introduce yourself and the school a little bit?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Kate. I work at Red Kite Special Academy. I actually work as a healthcare assistant within the school, which is a small team that provides medical support for the children there that have complex medical needs. I'm part of a larger team as well. So we provide care and education and learning opportunities for 100 of the most wonderful children in our local area of Corby in Northamptonshire, and these children are between 4 and 16, and we're looking to open up a sixth form block as well, so that we can take children all the way up to their 18 years old if they wish to. and we provide support and education for children with learning difficulties, high functioning autism, autism spectrum disorders, and profound multiple learning difficulties. So a wide range of needs within the school, and they are amazing young people, every single one of them.
Fantastic. How do the parents feel about a criminal anthology? So it's a crime. I know there's swearing and there's lots of bad people in it. Not something that you could really show to the children. Tony's grinning in the corner. so how have they felt about that?
Perhaps not the best thing for the children to be reading, but you know, we have an amazing group of parents, really, really supportive of the school, who have become a real community since the school opened 2.5 years ago. Not only are they there now with a shared interest in their children and their learning and their way of life, but they're there to support each other as well. And I just think we have a book share in the community area of school, and we do try and contribute books, and you know, that whole shared loaning of, you know, I'll read it and then I'll pop it back in the box and then you can read it, and that's really quite popular within the school. So I think they're going to embrace this book.
That's great. It's great to hear. Tony, let's come to you. Tell us a little bit, if you can, about your story. I'm very aware that they are short stories, so it's tricky not to give too much away.
Well, basically, it did start from that bit of paper that I showed you. I mean, it's essentially Bliss, D.I. Bliss and his friend and partner, Penny Chandler. They go over to Ireland essentially to visit his mum. But on the way from the drive from the airport to the home, they make a stop. And during that stop, Bliss spots something he's not quite... He's aware that there's something not quite right, but it doesn't compute. The following morning, he's on the beach and he's worrying about it, and he suddenly remembers what it was that he saw that he wanted to check out again. So they go, him and Penny decide to go and revisit the place that they stopped off, and they both kind of suspect there's something going on. But they're not quite sure what. So they sit and watch for a while from a distance. And it's very hard to say what happens without giving the game away, because there's a lot that comes up that it could be. Because, you know, there's a minister involved, there's some local faces involved. And as I said before, basically they go through the whole thing, and it could be anybody, you know. I mean, it could be the bloke who shot JFK for all they know. I mean, it really, they've got a lot of things that they're talking about. And it's, as you know, well, anyone who reads Jimmy Bliss knows that he worries about stuff and he can't let it go. So him and Penny decide to get to the bottom of what they've seen, and Jimmy goes off and investigates. And he calls in the local police, and they help solve what's going on. But essentially, at the same time, Jimmy's a bit worried that his mum's getting ripped off by this minister. And they decide to take a little bit of revenge on what's going on there as well. So it just really came from an idea of sending them over there and seeing what happened. And usually when I think of Jimmy Bliss, something happens. Inevitably, he gets involved in something. But I can't give the game away. You know, I can't say too much without saying actually what they saw and what the outcome is. But essentially, it takes place on the west coast of Ireland, and it involves quite a lot of, you know, backwards and forwards between people, a bit of sarcasm, and there's no violence in it. You know, well, there's one bit of violence, but I think readers will quite like that bit of violence, actually.
Cecilia, how about you? What can you tell us without giving anything away?
Well, actually, there isn't. I don't think there's really actual violence on screen, so to speak, in my story either. There's kind of implied violence and remembered violence, so to speak, but it doesn't actually happen in the way that you might get in a murder story or something. In fact, I almost forgot to put the crime part in at all, but but Kath and Will persuaded me to do that, to do it. And that sometimes happens in my novels as well, where I'm kind of rambling on about things, and the characters are having to and fro chats and so on, and you kind of think, oh, wait a minute, they better start solving this murder that's just happened out of sight, so to speak. It's quite easily done once you get writing.
We've got so many comments at the side. One thing I do want to say is that anyone who comments tonight or has already commented on a post that we've got going on in the book club is in with a chance of winning a paperback copy of the book. We've got 2 to give away to members in the UK. So unfortunately, the postage to the rest of the world is prohibitive. So we're just for the UK, including Ireland, and good luck everyone who enters. Kate, is there anything you'd like to leave us with? We're almost out of time already. I know Tony needs to dash off. He's in high demand this week, is our Tony.
I'd like to say, just on behalf of the Red Kite School community that we've got, a huge thank you to all of you authors for contributing to this book, and the proceeds, helping out the school. It's just, yeah, it's overwhelming that we've got support from authors and people that have probably never met us as a community, but we are so grateful. And if ever you're passing and you're able to, please come and see what we do, because I'm proud to work there. I love the place, and I any chance I get to shout about it is always a bonus. So thank you to all of you as authors for putting this book together, and I've got mine on order.
Fantastic. Well, we're absolutely thrilled to be raising some money for such a wonderful school.
Yeah,
so many
really
wonderful
grateful.
Staff and children. So thank you, Tony and Cecilia, as well, for donating a story. We're absolutely thrilled.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Was the lady hosting it then?
Oh.
Hello. So just while we're getting hello. Oh, William, hello. I was just going to say, just while we're getting everybody in, I'll go through some comments. But hi, and we've got Robert as well. And well, right. So let's go through the introductions first before I just get carried away talking to myself. So, Will, do you want to go first?
Hi. I feel like I'm on a game show. Hi, I'm Will. I'm from Nottingham. Hi. Well, the story I wrote was called El Caballo Rojo. I'm probably not even pronounced it very well. And it's probably about the second short story that I've written probably this year. The first was actually for the group as well. The shorts that we had, not the one that's just gone by, the Halloween one, the one we had before. So I haven't done any short story writing for quite a while, and so this has been really good. I've really enjoyed it.
And Will Templeton, just to stop the confusion between you and Will.
Will and Will. Hi, yes, I'm Will Templeton. I'm admin here on the group, along with Sam and Kaz and all the others. I cobbled all these stories together into a cohesive form so that people can read it. I spent a lot of time over the editing and still finding stuff that I've missed even now.
Don't look in.
Oh no, I really should. I read through my own story this morning, Vanity, and found a closing speech mark that I missed. That's not there. That should be, and I'm so frustrated.
Get your biro out, shove it in, move on.
I'll probably do a fresh edit just for that.
And Robert Crouch, hello.
Hi.
So give us a little introduction to your work, Robert.
Yeah, hi. My short story was called The Real Page Turner, and it's actually only the second short story I've written in about 30 or 40 years, so put a lot of work into that.
Sorry, me and Will are being childish because he's holding up. Do it again, Will. We're being twins. We've got the same books behind our heads. I read mostly on Kindle, but I ordered a copy of Will's book just to have behind my head when we're doing the author chat. So, yeah, so he's being childish. I'm enjoying it. You shouldn't encourage me, William. It's not a good idea.
I really should.
So we've had so many comments and hellos. I did spot a cheeky one from Andy Barrett, who'll be here soon, saying, "Gives a copy, buy your own." But he might win one, you never know. So we've just had Kate from Red Kite Academy saying thank you to everyone for donating stories, which I wholeheartedly appreciate everyone's time. And Will, obviously, you and Kath have done an awful lot. So do you want to give us a little insight on just how much you and Kath have done, Will?
Well, it's been quite a lot of work. There were a lot more stories submitted than made the final cut. We had to be a bit strict in one or two places. It was very, very difficult to make the final selection, and of course everybody sent in their own stories, formatted how they wanted them formatted on in their own style, which I then had to completely change to the book, so they all matched. But of course, that meant a lot of hidden formatting that had to be weeded out, and there were quite a few surprises when I tried to make the stories match each other, because stuff that you don't see, hidden paragraph mark where suddenly a sentence started a new paragraph halfway through a sentence, and really strange things like that, which took some ferreting out. But and of course, Kath was amazing. She spots so many errors and little things that, well, I mean, I went through myself, and then thinking I'd found everything, and then Kath had come back with a huge list of things that I'd sent me. She's got such a sharp eye; it's incredible.
I know, it's a shame we couldn't tempt her on tonight, but
yes,
we'll work on her, maybe in the future. So, Will, tell us a little about your story. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it.
Well, basically, it's Spanish for the red horse, and it's basically the whole idea of the story. Because obviously, without giving away what happens, but the whole idea of the story, what I'm really always kind of interested in is different ways to sort of like pull you into the story as the reader, to actually involve you in the story. So in this one, you actually are involved in the story, and you're kind of it sort of takes the whole idea that when you read a story and you really enjoy it and you like it, it kind of stays in your head. And so in this story, the main character stays in your head, but it's not a character that you might want in your head with you. So yeah, it kind of brings you into his world, which is probably okay when you're reading it on the other side of when you're watching it on the other side of the screen or reading it on the page. But when he's kind of or he or she, depending on how you kind of build the person up and imagine them, you kind of you're side by side with them, and all this unsavory things are happening. And but yeah, I just kind of like the idea of trying to make it interactive. But in this case, obviously, it's just interactive in your head rather than, you know, like a page, sort of like a choose your own adventure kind of page turn kind of thing. So yeah, I was trying to be a little bit clever, quite frankly. Let's just say it.
I love it, Robert. Your title, A Real Page Turner. I had to look twice, and then I gave a little chuckle. So tell us what you can about it without going too much into it.
Well, what I wanted to do was to do a 360-degree story, which meant starting just before the climax and then going back to the beginning and coming back to the climax. And it's about a crime writer who, shall we say, is framed for the murder of the publisher that rejected his story, in a nutshell. And it's really a sort of nod to the old sort of detectives and private eyes that you got in the 50s and 60s. It's that type of story. But in this case, the detective is in fact just a crime writer.
We seem to have a disappearing author.
Yes, we've got someone.
So, Will, if you can come back, please do. But if not, thank you so much for joining us. Will, tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay, well, mine is about a character that I used before in one of the shorts for the group, the season shorts, called Jack Green, who is a mysterious character who lives out in the wilds, in the woods. And he is contacted, hello, Will, is contacted in this instance by a detective constable, Eva, who is wanting him to help her find something that has been hidden in the woods, which is his domain, his speciality. So he begrudgingly gets involved in that, but things don't go as smoothly as you might imagine. So can't really say much more. But apart from that,
It might be a bit dull if it went as smoothly.
Sorry?
It might be a bit dull if it had gone smoothly.
Well, yeah, it's true. I've tried to interweave a bit of mythology and a bit of myth and legend in there, subtly in the background. So I don't know if everyone will pick that up if you're into sort of the Green Man and Robin Hood and things like that. There's little hints of that in there, but you don't need to be aware of that to enjoy it, I hope.
Robert, give us an idea about your other work, your other books.
Yeah, I write the Kent Fisher murder mysteries, which are about an amateur sleuth called Kent Fisher, strangely enough, who just gets drawn into solving murders through no fault of his own, really. It's heavily influenced. Oh, that's the signed copy, isn't it, Will?
It is.
Main inspiration is Agatha Christie and Sue Grafton, who wrote the Alphabet Murders. So it's slightly humorous, not to be taken too seriously, but it's, you know, complex, twisting and turning whodunits, really.
And Will, you said this is your second short story. So what other things have you done?
Well, most of my life, it feels like, is taken up at the moment with my the children's sort of fantasy adventure series that I'm doing, the Aralon Chronicles, which I'm trying to get the fourth one done at the moment. It was hopefully supposed to be done by Christmas, and now it's going to be hopefully done by spring. It's basically that's been everything that I've been pretty much writing for the last couple of years. It's been nice to have a little bit of a break from it, actually. Not to say that I'm not enjoying writing it, but it is nice to have a bit of change of scenery. But yeah, doing anything. I've been going into a lot of schools off the back of doing that, which I hadn't originally planned on doing, and it kind of just started happening. Going into schools and talking to kids, the amount of the imagination that they have, and the love for reading that they have, and everything. So the idea of doing something like this for the Red Kite School was brilliant off the back of that, because I just imagine, hopefully, you know, they might not read hopefully this book necessarily at the moment, when they get a bit older maybe, but yeah, them being able to read and just getting the enjoyment of reading is just fantastic.
Lucy, one of our admins, who happy birthday again. Cheers, Lucy. Wilf Morgan writes fabulous children's books. B loves them, so hurry up. I only knew it was Lucy because she wrote B. So yeah, she's cracking the whip.
I know, and also B's going to be one of the test readers as well. So I need to hurry up for that as well, because she's probably waiting for it.
And I knew something was going to come for you now, Will. Side note, when is the sequel coming out to Births, Marriages and Deaths? So tell us about that, Will.
Well, I'm quite a way through it. Not as far as I'd like to be, but I did have a bit of a lockdown slump, shall we say, where I didn't get a lot of writing done. But I'm back on track now and getting it going. And I've got the title in mind of Paying the Knot, which sort of ties in sort of marriages side of it with the fact that the main victim is found suspended from a tree in the first chapter. So that's sort of ties the Paying the Knot together. And as for when it'll be out, yes, keep cracking the whip. I shall get there.
Well, she's written underneath. Lucy has whip crack. So there you go.
Yeah,
we are rapidly running out of time. I realise that we've got just a few minutes with each of you tonight, because there's about 18 people who we managed to rope in. So I want to thank you all for donating a story. Thank you, Will, and Kath, for just insane amounts of work. Robert, why did you want to donate a story to the anthology? What tempted you to have a go? Why did you want to have a go at donating a story to the anthology?
Because it was easier to say no and not do anything. So I thought, sod it, I'm going to have a go. And I haven't written a short story for about 30 or 40 years, and it was murder at times. But I'm really glad I did it, because it's such a good cause, of course. And thanks to Will and Kath for all the work as well. I mean, I format and self-publish books, and I know how difficult it is to do that. So to put 22 stories together, blimey.
Yes.
You deserve a medal, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And how about you, Will?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, aside from the cause, it was a challenge, because like Robert, I haven't written a huge amount of short stories recently. Used to a long time ago, but and also just the idea, it's the first time that I would have been in an anthology as well with other writers. So it was just the chance of being able to sort of like go down a list of different people's names, and obviously some fantastic other authors, and go, oh look, I managed to sneak in there. So yeah, no, it was just a really good chance, good challenge.
And Will, why was it important for you?
Well, the whole process was a challenge, I suppose, in a way, just to put together the anthology. Obviously, it's a great cause. We discussed that in the group, what the charity would go for, and it's a wonderful cause. But it was a challenge, and an enjoyable challenge to put, despite all the frustration that I had, to put it all together and to create this finished book. It's I'm quite proud of how it looks and how it's turned out, and with Kaz's photo on the front, of course.
No, I've not got to that bit yet. I'm going to mind her about it at the end. She thinks that she's interviewing me. Haha.
I did notice one thing in the side there, in the questions that are cropping up. Just, I presume that's Lucy as well. Yeah, it's gone. There's no ponytail.
Oh, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us tonight, albeit brief. Let's hope we can hear more from you all individually in the future. I'm still Mr. Templeton. I will get you. I will have you for a whole hour all to myself. Stop that. Behave. Thank you all.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Thanks a lot.
While Kaz does a quick change around, I'll have a quick look at. Oh no, we're already there. Hello. Kaz is just having a quick switch around now. So what do I introduce you as? Are we going with Nick or Lexi?
I don't mind. Whichever comes easiest. I'll answer to either.
Quite quiet. I can't really hear. Could you turn your sound up a little bit for me, please?
Sorry, is that better?
That'll do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that better?
Perfect. Yeah.
That's great. I was coughing and I moved it up.
And hi, Jack, as well. And then we're hopefully we're going to be joined by Jonathan. That was good timing. Huzzah!
Yeah.
And
Can
then
you
you
hear me?
arrive. So let's start with introductions. So let's go with. Are we going with Nick or Lexi? What would you prefer?
I don't mind. Well, say Lexi. Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to introduce yourself? I think Lexi.
I'm Lexi Cunningham. I write historical crime fiction set in Georgian times and Viking times. So I've written a contemporary one for this collection, and it's a bit weird to be writing something modern.
Why did you decide to go with modern?
Well, I like to every now and again. I write occasional short stories, and just sometimes the idea that you get doesn't fit with Vikings or Georgians. If you need mobile phones or bicycle couriers or something like that, it's a bit tricky. So it just came out the way it came out, really.
Fantastic. Jack, hello.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Good evening.
Thanks for having me.
Introduce yourself a little bit for me.
Okay, so I am Jack. Hello, nice to meet you all virtually. I'm the author of the Jake Tanner series. So it's about a young cop who's just started out. He's in the Met, who comes up against loads of organized crime and police corruption and things like that. And then the short story I've written is set a few months prior to the beginning of my series, where he comes up against a grisly murder.
Yeah, we are familiar with those in our group.
I'm sure.
Jonathan, give us an introduction to yourself.
All right, so my name is John Mayhew, and I'm the author of the Will Blake crime series, and they're basically police procedurals set on the Wirral. So I bring a lot of the kind of landscape and the people, and yeah, the kind of twisty turny plots, hopefully with a few surprises at the end, and yeah, good fun. Bit grisly, not too grisly, not too much blood and gore, but just enough, hopefully. So yeah.
Well, I want to thank you all so much for donating a story. What made you fancy having a go at donating a story? And Kath and Will have had the work cut out selecting the stories for the anthology. They've kept it a closely guarded secret, so none of us knew who we were going to be seeing in the book, which it was a bit nerve-wracking, knowing that I was going to be interviewing everybody. Quite nervous. So, what made you want to have to donate a story, Lexi?
Oh, a Kath told me to. And I always do what Kath tells me to.
Didn't expect that.
I'm not very confident in short stories, so I like to keep. I'm not very confident with short stories, so I like to challenge myself every now and again. So, but you do what Kath tells you.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no argument here. No, absolutely do as you're told. Safest all round. So can you tell us a bit about what your story is about, Lexi?
Well, I think the starting point, intrigued at the idea of people arriving in something that's already happening, which is perfect for a short story because you don't have to give much background. You just head straight into the action. But in this one, I took it a bit too extreme. There's lots of stuff happening. My main character walks in, including the discovery that the person he's trying to deliver a parcel to is in fact dead on his office floor. So that was really the starting point, and it just developed on its own from there. Really, I didn't have much to do with it. It just happened. I
I'd
wrote
love to know
for
where
this
that
didn't
idea
work at
came
all. So
from.
nice that something happened.
Where did the idea land for that story? Walking it, has somebody in an office annoyed
Sorry?
you? Has somebody in an office annoyed you?
I really don't know. It just sort of it came out of midair and rambled away until it was on the paper, and that was about it. And then Will sent it back and said, "No, don't, no, try again." And so I did. So that was very kind of him to give me a second chance.
They are very good like that. They are. Jack, tell us a bit about your story. What's it called? And give us a hint of it without giving it away.
Okay. So it's called Death's Embrace. And without giving it too much away, it's about a murder, and the detective has to try and solve the crime.
So did it take a while to write?
This one, I don't think it did. No, I usually try and do about 2,000 words a day, and this with short stories, especially, they're quite brief, so you're quite in the moment. You're quite motivated to finish it, shall we say? So I think I did it in about a week, in a couple of days or so. But the hardest bit about it was probably the editing afterwards, trying to make sure that it was all well-rounded, tidied up and everything, and that it ended how I wanted it to. Yeah.
So did the characters take over, or did you direct them?
No, I think I directed them. I think I had a pretty clear structure of how I wanted it to end in the first place. But there was one tiny little bit at the end that we had to change.
Fair enough. John, I get the pleasure of interviewing you on the 16th of December.
That's true. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. But tell us a bit about your story for Criminal Shorts.
Okay, so it's called The Copse, as in a small group of trees in the middle of a field, but it's intended to be a bit of a pun on the cops as well, as in police, you know. So it involves a crime writer. So I was thinking about the one before there, yeah. So yeah, it involves a crime writer, and yeah, basically it came from a friend of mine. My oldest friend is a policeman, and when lockdown ended, we kind of met up to go for a walk, and he suggested we went down to these old pits that we used to fish in about 50 years ago. You know, literally, like, didn't even think they would still be there. They're kind of trapped between the Manchester Ship Canal and Vauxhall's motor factory, and it's this tiny wood, and no one goes there. No one. Absolutely no one. And we used to, as I say, years ago, we used to go down there fishing, and it was still there. It was all still there. And as I say, no, there was nobody had been there. And it just kind of gave rise to this. I instantly thought, oh, something terrible could happen here. And yeah, I kind of went from there, really. But yeah, so that was the inspiration of it. It's about an aspiring crime writer called Colin Maybury, and yeah, he employs a policeman to give him some advice, and yeah, it all goes horribly wrong from there. That's all I'll say.
Now I'm going to ask you all the same question, starting with Lexi. Do you walk around looking for places to bury bodies, places to dump people? Are you sinister? John's face.
It's a sinister laugh.
So, Lexi, do you walk around looking for places to going, oh, that'd be good?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Of course. Only, of course, mine have to exist in Georgian or Viking times usually. So I'm looking for something a bit with a bit of history to it. And it's very restricted. I mean, the Vikings, the methods of murder as well, you've got to be very careful because the Vikings can't just take out a revolver and whack somebody 6 rounds in the back of the head or something like that. It's very, very unfortunate, very limiting. But on the other hand, they had axes readily to hand, which is always a good thing.
Remind me never to get on yours or Kath's bad side. You make a formidable duo. Jack, how about you? Do you walk around looking for places to put people?
No, I don't think so. I think location-wise, I think an image, like if I see an image on like a stock website or something, then that helps spawn off some inspiration. But I'm more interested in the method of killing rather than the location, which for readers of the short story will probably understand as not your average type of method of killing. And then whenever I tell my girlfriend about it, she always gets quite paranoid and quite scared. She's always afraid that if anything happens to her, I'll be the first on the list. If it's a strange and freaky method of killing, then she's worried. But yeah, I'm more interested in how to kill people rather than where.
Okay, stepping slowly away, John.
Yeah, definitely. And the Wirral's a curious place because it's got quite a range of kind of landscapes crammed into this tiny little space, really, which is the Wirral Peninsula. It's got like a big hilly ridge up the middle, and it's got beaches, and it's got marshes and woodland and cityscapes as well, so all crammed in. If you were drawing your own little fantasy map, then like you just cram everything on it. That's what the Wirral's like, really. It's weird. It's got everything. So yeah, very much do. And even to the stage now where my wife takes my daughter out for walks. My daughter has a learning disability, which kind of leads, that's what led me to the short story anthology. But and she's got a book of walks on the Wirral, and she'll always come back, oh, just found a great place to find a body, so quickly write it down. And so yeah, I've got this sort of comprehensive list of places that you could find a dead body now, so it's quite good.
Okay, Cecilia, shall we run? So John, you were just saying why it was important to you to donate a story to the anthology. Do you want to explain a little bit about why Red Kite, and obviously that just the school in general is important to you? Yeah, so kind of professionally, before I became a writer, I was a traditionally published children's author for many years, and did a lot of school visits and things like that. But before that, I was a teacher, and I taught in a special school. I've taught in high schools as well, so I've taught in mainstream and in special. And so from from my own background, I've seen that. And also personally, my daughter she developed epilepsy when she was about 12, and she was in a mainstream high school, everything going swimmingly. And unfortunately, along with that, there was a kind of a cognitive impact on that as well, and she started to really, really struggle. And she managed to get through to the sixth form, really, and then it just wasn't working. She was trying to do kind of life skills courses in a mainstream school, and we took the decision to move her into the special sector, and she just blossomed. It was absolutely fantastic. It was the making of her.
And so, yeah, you know, the moment it was mentioned, I threw my hat in straight away and just hoped that I'd get a story in there. So, so yeah, it's kind of personally quite close to my heart, really. And places like Red Kite, they're incredible. You know, they do such a great job. You know.
Lexi, why did you fancy having a go at putting a story into the anthology?
Well, it did seem to be a very good cause. Whether or not I was contributing to it, I'm not sure. But and I work to get together with other people, particularly we've never met before, and do something together for a good reason.
Brilliant. And Jack, let's end with you tonight, Jack.
Okay.
So I keep getting distracted by the comments down the side.
Yeah, so aside from it being a great cause, which everyone else has already mentioned, I wanted to challenge myself and write a short story. So I did a university degree, which was English literature with creative writing. Hated it, completely hated it. And we, as part of the coursework and everything, we had to do short stories. And that was where I sort of developed the hate for it, because they weren't very well graded. And I thought, well, all right, that's your opinion of it. And then I wanted to prove to myself that I could do one that was worthy of inclusion and worthy of being warranted and wanted by people, I suppose. But yeah.
Well, we certainly appreciate it and glad you stuck it out.
Someone.
Thank you all so much for joining us, for donating a story.
Having us.
And it's lovely to meet you all.
Likewise.
Just have to say before we go, I've got mug envy with Jack. Can you lift your mug up, Jack? It's enormous. It's like not your mug. Your mug. Your cup.
Your tea mug.
I thought you were talking about this.
No. Look at that. It's, yeah.
Mug means different things in different places.
Yeah, it does.
I want one of them. Right.
Oh, Kaz, do you think?
Cool.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jack.
Right, we're swapping over slowly but surely.
Oh, this has been so fun so far. I'm thrilled to bits. And now I'm going to nip and fill my tea.
Oh, hi, Jan. I've got.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Hi, Susan.
Hello. Is it coming through okay?
Yeah, I can see you. That's fine. Can we start off with you introducing yourselves and telling us a little bit about your story? We'll start with Susan.
Hi, I'm Susan Hanley. My story, this anthology, was called Robbed. And it's about a guy called Robbie Gillam, who is not a nice person. He's an ex-armed robber, and he's just out of prison after a long stretch. And he's come out to try and get his dues back, really. And his wife's left him, and his child doesn't know who he is, and he's determined to go after the guys that set him up. But first of all, he wants the money that he's owed. And it all sort of goes a bit horribly wrong from there, really. So it's not the normal thing I write, which is normally sort of police procedurals, but it's just about how when you get a group of bad men together, things go from bad to worse. And that's it in a nutshell.
Oh, and Jan, do you want to tell us a little about yourself and your story? Can Jan hear us? I think she's frozen.
Jan Edwards, sorry. Have I again? Hope not.
You have, but we can hear you. So just introduce yourself and your story. Oh dear.
Oh no.
Sorry. Susan, why did you decide to contribute a story to the anthology?
I like doing short stories. I've been a member of a small writers group for a few years, and we meet every couple of weeks until this year. We meet every couple of weeks and we write a short story on a prompt that we all set. And I find it's quite good. It sort of takes my mind off having to write a novel. You've got a novel sort of brewing, but it's quite a bit of fun just to write a short story for just fun. And I always do the scary shorts and the Santa shorts and the spring shorts. And I thought it should be really nice to do something to contribute for such a good cause. So it was slightly longer than we normally do for the shorts. And that was a challenge. So it was just an idea that I'd had brewing and I thought it would fit quite nicely. So.
Jan, now we've got you back. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, you know me and technology. I'm zapping it.
I do know you and your technology. Step back a little bit from the computer and then tell us a little bit about yourself and your story.
Down to the Sea was a spin-off from my Bunch Courtney series. It started off as actually part of one of the novels, but it just kind of took off on its own and ended up as a short story. And when the Red Kite anthology came up, it seemed to be perfect because I have a daughter who's in special education, so I know how important schools like this can be. How children with various problems, my daughter's autistic, can really blossom within that framework, which they don't do in a mainstream school because, frankly, too many other children, too many distractions can really hold them back, I think. So yeah, I mean that's why I put in for the anthology. The story is about Inspector Wright getting into deep trouble in the Docklands in 1941. How can I sum it up without giving anything more away?
I don't think you can actually. I've read both of the stories, and it's very hard to sum either of them up without giving the entire sort of plot away, isn't it?
Exactly.
I suppose that's a challenge with a short story in general. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you both write sort of away from short stories, starting with Susan? So tell us a little bit about your novels that you write.
I currently write, they're typically police procedural. The published novels I've got at the moment are the Cat Mackenzie, Detective Constable Cat Mackenzie series. And Cat is a rookie detective, although I'm currently writing the fourth in the series, and she's less of a rookie. In fact, she's actually taken another rookie under her wing, and that's not going terribly well. And I've tried to make them focus on the whodunit, rather than quite a lot of sort of serial killers where you know who the killer is, or psychological dramas where you tend to know who's done things but you don't quite know why or how it's going to end up. I try to work more on the mystery, so I do hope that people don't guess who it is too early on. I've just finished the first of another series, which hopefully will be out in the spring. I'm not going to say too much about that because it's currently out with beta readers at the moment. I'm trying to sort of put on tenterhooks as to what they think, but that's it really. I try to sort of write a good old fashioned mystery murder, really. So.
And Jan, do you want to tell us a little bit about your series?
Well, my series is set in World War II. Normally, it's about Bunch Courtney, and William, Chief Inspector Wright, is on the side of that. But this story, William Wright came to the fore, so it's about him. But say Bunch Courtney is a series, World War II. About a woman who kind of gets drawn into investigating crime by accident, really, I suppose. What can you say? I suppose it's whodunits, really. Mystery. I hesitate to call cozy because I've got quite a high body count, but you know.
There's a really interesting comment, and I can't see who it is. It just says Facebook user that said, "Reading this anthology has inspired me. I have an idea for a short story that I'm going to write soon. Do either of you two have some top tips for short stories?"
Just right, because they're short. You can just basically sit down, think about the scenes, think about where the characters are going to take you, and just bang it out. And then you can come back and edit it and worry about whether you captured everything properly later, because you don't have to worry about subplots, you don't have to worry about complicated relationships. You can, if you can focus on the scene and the emotions and the atmosphere, that's pretty much what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I've written an awful lot of short stories in the sort of folk horror and horror genre, and as Susan says, it's a case of having the idea and just running with it, because you've got that quite a small framework in which to work, and you can really let rip without having to worry about sustaining it for 80,000 words. It's 45,000, and yeah, you can really let go on that particular scene. It's quite fun. I like short story writing.
It's fun. That's it. Fun. Make it fun.
We're coming up to the end of our time, but I want to finish off with one of our UK CBC favourite questions. Like, what are your most memorable moments as an author? Should we start with Susan again?
In my hands. My first books as paperback, holding them, being able to flick through the pages and thinking, I wrote that. That's been pretty special.
I think Susan's right. It's actually picking that book out of a box and going, ah, it's me. And it never gets old. It doesn't matter how many books you bring in, how many anthologies, how many novels. That moment as you look at your name on the bottom of the front, yes. So yes, that's always the best moment.
Certainly.
And we really need to. We had a Red Kite worker on earlier from the school, and they were saying that they really appreciated all the authors who contributed to the anthology, that you gave up your time and sort of wrote a story to help the school and for such a good cause. So we have to pass that thanks on, and we do really appreciate you all writing a story for the anthology.
I think, speaking for myself, I had fun. I would like to thank Will and Kath for the bit that probably wasn't so much fun, of all the editing and the reading through and the tough decisions as to who to include. I think that's a lot of credit lies with them, because that's the hard work side of it.
Oh yes, the editing's hard work, so it's always all hail to the crew that put it together. I mean, I've done a few other short stories for the MX Sherlock Holmes books, which are in aid of the Stepping Stone School, which is Sherlock Holmes, Conan Doyle's old home, and that's a special children's school as well. And it's always a pleasure to take part in these kind of anthologies, because you know that you're contributing to something. So yeah, good fun.
Yes, and thank you so much for coming to join us tonight. And we'll hope to catch up with you again soon.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Right, I'm just going to swap our authors around. Oh no, I'm gone.
Do I need to click out of this?
Hi, Mike and TG.
Hello.
We should have Ben joining us shortly. Yep. There we go. Hello.
Hello.
Shall we start off? That wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to be. Sorry.
I've seen worse transitions in the business, trust me.
There wasn't the best one, was it?
Oh, no, I've seen worse.
Shall we start off with you all introducing yourselves and telling us a little bit about your story? We'll start with Mike, because you're at the top.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm Mike Craven, writing under MW Craven. I've got two series: the Washington Poe Tilly Bradshaw series and the Everything Fluke series, which some of your readers, some of the Crime Book Club will be familiar with, and yeah, that's it really. I was asked if I'd be interested in doing a short story for the anthology. I didn't have the time actually, but I was able to dust an old one off out the archives when I well, I'll tell you about it later. But yeah, I was absolutely delighted to be involved. And I've enjoyed watching it all tonight. And also, I read Ben's. Sorry, what TJ? What's his first name? T.
Sorry?
So, well,
My first name?
Yes.
Tani, sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
I've read both stories, both your stories, and absolutely excellent. Both very different.
Thanks, mate.
Ben's was particularly dark, and darker than anything I've written. And yeah, so yeah, that's a really weird introduction for me. Happy birthday, Lucy, by the way. I know she's watching.
Yeah, happy birthday, Lucy. Someone, and it might be Lucy, has asked what beer you're drinking tonight, Mike.
Punk IPA, Brewdog.
Good choice.
Brewdog in the house, East Coast Crush.
Excellent. I don't think I've had that actually.
That's nice, that one. It's a good one. We could go down a Brewdog rabbit hole here, couldn't we? So
it's not a lager. It's a
IPA, New England IPA.
All right, excellent. All right.
Yeah, it's good.
Ben, since you're there as well, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your story?
Yeah. I'm Ben Bruce. I'm the author of the Regulated series. I am a shareholder in Punk in Brewdog, so that's why I haven't got an interest in pushing that. I write the Regulated series, which will be getting its third instalment at some point early next year, and then there'll be a couple of standalones outside of that Regulated universe, and then we'll be doing another Regulated. I've just decided what it's going to be, so that'll be fun to go back to. And yeah, I quite enjoyed having the chance to do something completely different and show a different side to my writing, because obviously no one's seen anything from me other than what I've done with the Regulated. So it was nice to do something different in a completely freeing up space. So that was fun, and it was great to do something for a good cause as well. So I was just really thrilled to be surrounded by such legends as we've got on the chat right now. And it's like, how on earth did I blag my way into this book? Yeah, pretty awesome. Usually my name would be down as not coming in, but I made it this time.
Tani, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I write to T.G. Campbell mainly because people can't know how to pronounce or spell my name. That's why I write under my initials, and I write a series about the Social Society. There's the main series. We've got 4 books out in that series, and also a series of short story collections. So it's actually the 4th installment of that one's coming out in December.
Can you tell us a little bit more each about your story? So, Mike, yours is quite unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, because I'd already written 5 short stories this year. My publisher, my editor asked me if I could write a short story for a BBC competition. I think this is back in March. This was Friday afternoon, and I said, when does it need to be in by? And she said 9 o'clock Monday morning. So I had to drop everything. I wrote that. I don't think it would. I certainly haven't been told it wouldn't. But then she said, can you write an uplifting one for Christmas? And then we'll release them. So I ended up writing 5 in total. And I completely overcommitted myself. So when I was asked if I had anything that could go, I didn't. But I did have this story I wrote for a Stephen King competition years ago. So obviously it's got sort of Stephen King elements to it, so there's a supernatural element to it, but it's also having a go at one of our ex-prime ministers who maybe did or maybe didn't get caught doing something naughty with a pig's head. So I sort of picked up on that, and I put a supernatural element in it as well, regarding the sort of a Stephen King version of a funny pot trap. So that's where that story came from. But I'd say I wrote it probably maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So this is the first time it's actually seen the light of day, apart from whoever judged it as being unworthy of the Stephen King competition. Quite rightly so, I would imagine.
I can see when you talked about the Prime Minister and the pig's head, Sam is sat off the screen because she's coming back later for an interview and she just cracked up laughing.
I'm not saying which Prime Minister it was, but I think we all know.
I think we all know, yeah.
The story's called Dish Face, but if you hadn't already got it, I think we all know who had sex with a pig's head.
Just,
or maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a rumor. I don't know.
if I could screenshot that face that was off screen, it would have been brilliant. Ben, your story. I worked with people with behavioural difficulties, and your story just was, it was too close to my life for me to enjoy. I'm sorry, but
That's
do you want
right.
to tell us?
That's probably the best criticism I've ever received. That's, you know.
It's a good story, but
Yeah.
it was a bit too close to home. But do you want to tell people a little bit about it?
I mean, it's a story that, again, I mean, this is probably one I've been kicking about in my head in different forms, you know, the basic narrative of, for about 20 years since I first started wanting to write, from when I was a 17, 18-year-old lad mooching about the streets. And, you know, I never got into anything quite as bad as that. But, you know, when you are that age, you can see how those moments in your life can be exacerbated and taken to a point of no return. And I just wanted to sit there and get inside this kid's head as he's staring down something that he believes he's absolutely right and he knows he's got to do. And then all of a sudden reality starts to kick in and he's got 6 minutes to, you know, turn it all around or face the consequences. And, you know, that was the basic premise of the story, because it is those split moment decisions that impact lives in massive ways. And, you know, I've seen a number of people that are, you know, that I've been aware of that have, you know, fallen victim to knife crime in the past, and it's a horrible crime. It still blights our youth. It blighted our youth when I was a kid, and, you know, 20 years on, we're still dealing with the same problem. So it still feels a relevant story, which is tragic at the end of the day. But, you know, it was just something I wanted to get out there.
And Tani, yours is quite unusual and has a little paranormal element to it as well. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so my story sort of features my detective basic society, and it sort of features that paranormal aspect in the sense that it's got a spiritualist who's actually investigating along with an illusionist. But sort of the inspiration for that story is more like my fascination with sort of impossible sort of puzzles and more sort of locked room type thing. That's sort of where it started off with. But I'm also fascinated with paranormal, and especially sort of in that era, the Victorian era, with spiritualism and talking boards and all that sort of, you know, movement. It's really fascinating. Yes, that sort of features the website. But this anthology is the first anthology that my set has actually been in outside of my own collection. So I was really delighted to have actually been accepted into this anthology and honoured to be part of, you know, with so many other talented authors. So it's been a really great experience.
There's
some good. I was just going to say, yeah, that's exactly how I feel about being in such esteemed company. I mean, look at the guy who's right above me. How is that happening?
There's some lovely stories, just comments coming in on the stream. Chris Whitaker, Mike, is apparently currently listening to Black Summer as his Audible book on his drive to work. Someone else said your story is awesome. Someone else on here said they loved your story, Tani, and Ben, yours was uncomfortable. Oh, that's Lucy. Happy birthday, Lucy. She said Ben, yours was uncomfortable because lots of similar things happening near her. And
I thought Ben's was what I'd probably call like a proper noir story. But I thought the Bow Street Society, it is Bow Street Society, I thought that was exceptional. I really did. I really enjoyed that. It just because it was just a little bit different. It was I read it over, and I was going to read it again actually, just because I enjoyed it so much. But then I saw it kind of there, so I didn't. But I mean, I definitely. It was a really, really good story, and I went straight on Amazon and I checked out all the actual books in that series. So in that regard, it actually did the job I suspect it was supposed to be, as well as being for a very worthy cause.
Yeah, definitely. I downloaded the first Bow Street Society book as well after reading your story, so it definitely did the job it was meant to do.
Oh, thank you.
Now you're all joining us again soon, aren't you? So Mike, you're with us again for a chat on
10th of December, yeah.
the 10th of December. Ben, when are we seeing you?
Thursday, you're going to see me doing the quiz again. So, you know, I won't be far away.
And Tani, I think you're joining us for a chat next year, aren't you?
Yes, I think towards the end of the year, I think it is, yes. September, I think it is sometime, yeah. Possibly.
Yeah, I think I've bagged you because I read the story and was quite excited to like have you online. So I think when we were booking the chats, I asked for you. What made you all want to contribute to the anthology? So Mike, you said you were asked.
Do you know, I'm probably being a bit disingenuous there. I sort of stuck my nose in. I said, "What's this about?" Because I quite often go periods where I don't go on Facebook. I thought, particularly when I'm busy, and because I've overcommitted myself this year, I've been sort of limiting my time. And I saw it, and I think I might have said to Lucy, I said, "What's this about?" And she told me, she said, "If you got anything, would love you to submit something." Obviously, I was under. In fact, the one I wanted to submit, Will said, "No, you can't have it," because it had been published already. It was a fluke story. So I was keen to be involved because this is the only group I really sort of actively engage in on Facebook. Plus, I used to be a social worker in a previous life, and I sort of worked with the type of children up the red kites work with. So it was a sort of bit of a no-brainer, really. So I was glad I had a story in the archive. It is the only story I've got in the archive, actually. So I don't. If I'm asked to do another one or the opportunity to do one, it will have to be a fresh story. And it'll be a Poland and Tilly story, undoubtedly, because that's what I'm writing now. But yeah, so that's the main reason. I mean, it was a privilege to be involved in a huge round of applause to Captain Will and the rest of you guys. It's been brilliant, and it's a pretty high quality bit of kit as well. I mean, there's nothing shabby about it at all. It is a really good book, and all the stories I've read have been excellent as well.
Yeah, I've just got to the end today, and I don't think there's a story in it that isn't a great read. Ben, what made you want to contribute?
I mean, at the end of the day, as writers, you know, we're lucky that we get the opportunity that we can try and, move people or change people or cause an effect by what we write. And sometimes it's not about what we write, it's about where we choose to write. And this was one of those cases where we can make a positive impact through the art that we provide and do something good. And sign me up for that any day of the week. That's why I got into writing, was to not just better my own lot in life, but other people's lot in life. And this is one way I can do that. So yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, it was a no-brainer. I just wanted to get involved.
And Tani?
Well, where I'm Milton Keynes, Red Kite Academy is quite close to me, so that would be one reason. And I do have my mum's friend's son with special needs, so that's another reason why I would get involved, to help out, sort of like schools of help with children like that. But I was sort of really just impressed with the group and sort of how diverse it was and how popular it was, and just the fact that it is a readers group. And because there's a lot of groups that I was part on Facebook that sort of advertise readers, and it just being about promo books, promo people's books. But it really is sort of a really well developed and really you get a lot of quality sort of interaction with readers, and I just was really impressed with the group. I was just really keen to get involved in Anthology for that reason as well, really.
I masquerade in my real life, away from my job as the UK CBC admin, as a teacher at a special school. So I know how important like an anthology like this is, and like contributions to a school can make a massive difference. We spend a lot of our time fundraising to be able to provide things for our students. So this is a really huge thing that you've all committed to do. So a massive thanks to you all for contributing a story. Like we're very, very, very thankful for you doing that.
My pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
And thanks for joining us tonight. I know we've got a really short time, but it's because so many people wanted to come and join us live today. So we should be being joined very soon by just a few more authors. But before you go, do you want to just give us your most memorable moments as an author? Starting with Mike.
Winning the Gold Dagger last year. And then the global pandemic meaning that nobody could buy me a beer for 12 months, which has been annoying.
When we can go to festivals again, Mike, we'll all buy you a beer.
There's one big round coming your way, isn't it?
Ben, your most memorable moment as an author?
Do you know what? I think it's hard to pick a single moment as an author because it's all, I'm still very much at the start of my career, so I think it's all sort of just kicked off. But you have those moments when you hold your first paper, you get your first good review, you do your first UK CBC interview. But I think the one that always stands out for me when I think about having written a book and having, done 2 books now is the first negative review I got, which was a guy saying, I don't know how to download this to my Kindle. And I got 1 star. It was the first time I got 1 star. And that is the memory that is going to abide for me from my first year of writing. So I think that's never going away.
Tani?
Well, sort of making anthology is definitely definitely up there. But for me personally, because I do a lot of research into the Victorian era, all my books I've got is the Official Encyclopedia of Scotland Yard. I was actually able to meet one of the co-authors at the conference a couple of years ago, and that was just amazing just to go to meet him and talk to him about his work and everything. And that for me was just so fantastic. So that's definitely up there as well.
Is there an event you're all looking forward to when we can travel again?
Harrogate.
Yeah, I was going to do my first Harrogate this year, and obviously that didn't happen. So yeah, Harrogate is can't wait for that.
It's a conference again next year. Come back next year, which is where all the 2 crime cities let's get together and London. I think it is that. I'm really looking forward to just going to that.
I've thought of another memorable moment. Can I put it I've only ever entered one competition. I actually got shortlisted for an international award. So yeah, I'll throw that in there. Shortlisted for an international award. That was good. I should have remembered that first, really, shouldn't I? It's been a long day. I just put the kids to bed. I'm rattled.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Caroline.
Thank you.
Thanks, so.
I'll try to seamlessly transition again, and hopefully it'll go better this time.
Star White now.
Good luck.
And hello, Barbara.
Hi.
Joining us tonight, guys. It's been a pleasure. We're so excited to have you joining us.
Thanks, so.
It's lovely to meet you. I've seen you obviously a lot when you do your interviews, and I think they're amazing.
Poor you.
They are amazing.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your story?
Yes, I guess so. My name's Barbara Norrie.
Hello, Barbara. Hi.
I seem to have lots of different voices everywhere.
It's lovely to meet you. I've seen you obviously a lot when you do your interviews.
Is it running off screen as well? Is it off somewhere else?
I don't know. I seem to have got.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your story? Yeah, I can hear myself in the background.
Cool, guys. Hi, Barbara. Hi.
What have I done something wrong? I can hear it's like 100 voices.
Barbara, do you want to try closing your browser and then coming back in, my love?
What do I want to do?
Kaz is going to drop you out of the stream and then you sign back in again and let's see what happens.
You have to remove this.
Ah, there we go. Hi, Sam.
Hello. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you? This is going
terrifying.
seamlessly.
I've just put comments on there that were for you and comments. Oh, my word. It's the best time I've ever been such a wreck.
Your face when Mike was talking about his story.
Who shall not be mentioned.
Yeah. This.
Oh my! Mike Craven. Oh my
If only
word.
I could have screenshotted that face. It
You've
would have
got
been
enough dodgy
perfect.
shots of my face. Barbara. Can you hear us, Barbara?
I can hear lots of noises.
Still echoing. I wonder why. We usually get to sort all this out before we go live, so Kaz is going to mess about and see if she can fix things. But have a go at telling us about your story. Have you got your So I'm trying to be technical, and this is where everybody learns that I'm not the technical whiz kid.
I'm really not. I'm not either. It normally just works out.
We do trial and error. Barbara, have a go at introducing yourself and your story.
We can, but can you introduce yourself and your story, Barbara? Anyway, let's not worry about the noise.
Okay. Well, I'm just worried that something in here.
See, everyone watching, this is what we generally have behind the scenes, and we come on and we smile, but generally we panic.
When I talk, it seems to come. There's a.
Oh, we're definitely getting some feedback. Any chance you own any headphones? You know, like little earphone things. Or is your mobile phone near your laptop by any chance?
No. Oh, it's over there.
So you're watching in real life, members and admins. This is what we do. We had Totty Lime Juice, the absolutely gorgeous Leslie created that, and she had a fan on under a desk, and it took us 2 days to figure that out. But that's what the sound was.
Oh, was that what the problem was?
Oh, yeah, it was. That was the problem.
Sam, while you're here, do you want to tell us about your alter ego?
No.
Barbara, I'm going to take you out and sign back in again.
Okay.
Okay.
Tell us about your alter ego, Sam.
There's this person called Sam Thomas who wrote a story for Criminal Shorts called 6 Pieces Each, not 6 minutes, which I've just accidentally taken credit for. Sorry, Ben. When Wilf Morgan commented about how much he'd enjoyed it, and I got all giddy because I saw 6, and I was like, yay, somebody liked it. And then I was like, oh no. So I tried to delete it, and I can still see it. It's looking at me, which hopefully it will disappear. But if I was going to mess up, it had to be on my own interview, didn't it?
It's fine. Tell us a little bit about your story. It's really good.
Thank you. I've been trying to think how to. I'm going to put this back up there with Will. I've reorganised my shelf tonight. I don't know what I can say without spoiling it. It's really hard. Like, we do this to authors every week, and we sit and we introduce ourselves off camera and get to know people and relax them. And we say, oh, it'll all be fine. And now the shoe's on the other foot. And oh my word, it's scary. Joseph is a. This is the elevator pitch thing that Kia mentioned last night. It's really tricky. So she works for a man who deals in various things that are illegal. And she, I don't know how to describe it, really. This is the hardest thing. She tests people out. So we've got low-level criminals who work for this gang, and she tests people out and looks at whether they're ready to progress, whether they can hold their temper, whether they can be trusted to move up in the company. And this is part of the story of how that happens and kind of day-to-day life for her. And alongside that, there is her relationship and how she's never really wanted a permanent partner, and how that has an impact on her partner. So there's kind of a double thing running through. So is Brian trying to sign in? I'm just looking at the
Brian's
comments.
having some
That's
problems.
really all I can tell you, other than the fact that my friend Julie, who some of you know from different posts I've put on the book club, Tamsin from Kenilworth Books very kindly gave me an extra copy of Lee Child's biography by Heather Martin, and I gave it to Julie, and I went and I'd given it to her, and then we sat and had a chat about my story. And as a non-crime reader, there were lots of things that she questioned me on, but it was overall positive, which is really nice for my first story. I've no idea what you actually asked me. I'm just rambling now.
No, that's fine. I liked the sort of relationship that she has that is kind of wistful at the end without giving away the end.
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away. It's really tricky.
Yeah, but she's sort of a bit shy of commitment, but she has this like rock solid relationship that you kind of hint at and leave the readers to guess a little bit about, including the gender of both partners. Really, you kind of leave that to be guessed.
That was
a
kind
little
of by accident, because the idea was when I first started writing the story, I had an idea for it, and then what it actually became was completely different, because you remember I was really poorly around the time that I was writing. It's when I was losing my voice, and it wasn't great. So I just kind of sat looking through. I'd been writing a different one, actually, and it didn't feel quite right. So I ditched that one, looked through my notebooks for different things that I'd written down, and then found this one. So yeah, it was completely different. Once I actually sat and started writing it, I gave it to my husband to have a look at, and he was like, no. I was like, what do you mean? And he said, well, no, it's not believable. That's not what she'd do. So I looked at it again. I was like, absolutely right. Yeah, fair enough. Would not be how Josie would respond to different situations. And for anyone who has read it, I have put behind me Crybaby by Mark Billingham. So I'm not going to tell anybody who hasn't read it yet why, but for anybody who has read it, they might understand that little tie-in from it. So I completely... So I looked at it again. I was like, absolutely right. Yeah. Can anybody else hear me talking twice? Josie would respond to.
I can hear you talking twice, but we've got Barbara.
I have put behind her Crybaby by Mark Billingham. So I'm not going to tell anybody who hasn't read it yet why, but for anybody who has read it, you might understand that little tie-in from it.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your story?
I can still hear lots of other people talking.
I know, just don't worry about it. Just tell us about you and your story.
Okay. I saw the offer when they first posted, do you want to write a story for the anthology? Hi, who said that?
A little bit about yourself and your story. I did.
But it keeps repeating itself. I don't.
I know, just don't worry about it. Just tell us about you and your story.
I can't, because it's just not connecting. I'm just getting the same thing over and over again.
This is new for us members. We've never had a dedicated reel repeating itself before.
It's not
I
working.
really apologise. I've no idea why it's doing that, Barbara.
Do you have your Facebook open in another tab?
I might have. Hold on.
I can't because it's just not connecting.
Everyone bear with us. At least it's shutting me up for a minute from rambling.
Hold on.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh God,
Right.
it was driving me mad. You were
out.
asking me a question, and then it was repeating it, and then it was repeating it, and then it was, and I was thinking, oh no, oh. Yes, my story. I've written a couple of short stories for the seasonal short stories, which I quite enjoyed doing, and posting on there. And when this came up, I think at first I kind of thought it was the same sort of thing. I didn't realise it was such a big deal with lots of really important people writing. So I thought I did a very silly thing. I said I mailed Will and said, oh yeah, I'll have a go. And then as it went on, and I saw that there was all these people saying that they were going to write, and I thought, and so I kept leaving it, and it was only like about 2 weeks before the cut-off date that I felt guilty. I thought, well, I've said I would do it, and it's a really good cause, so I ought to do it. So I spent 2 weekends doing it, and sent it in. But to be honest, I was just so honoured and kind of gobsmacked to even be considered. I didn't expect to get it to get in, but by the time I'd got 3/4 of the way through, I thought, well, I'm going to finish it anyway because I'm quite enjoying it. And it took over. I mean, it started off as kind of one thing and morphed into 2 or 3 others, various thoughts, coming in from, I don't know about police procedure. I don't really know anything about crime, except all the wonderful books that I read. And in 2 weeks, I didn't have time to do loads of research. So I thought about, well, would it be considered murder? The kind of theme is it murder if you don't actually do anything, if you just walk away? So that's really the kind of theme that runs through it is, if you turn a blind eye when you know somebody is going to die, is that murder? And that's and also there's a thread because at work I'm a public health librarian, and there was a big push on kind of abuse, and not just physical abuse, but verbal abuse. So I kind of wove that in there as well about how, what the impact of verbal abuse is, because it often just doesn't get noticed. And as I say, it wrote itself in the end. These bits kept coming in, and I was thinking, where did that come from? But I really enjoyed writing it, and I was, as I say, just blown away to actually be included. And it is a wonderful cause, and I'm so pleased that all the other people got involved and made it what it is, because if it was, if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't be selling in such vast quantities. And I mean, it's not violent. It's one of my colleagues bought it because another colleague told her it had a rude word in it. That's so it's fairly tame compared with some. Yeah, she was told it had a really rude word in it, so that's why she bought it. Yeah, and my sons were quite thrilled and excited about it all, so that was nice too.
Barbara and Sam, you're both like new authors, so you've published for the first time in this novel, this anthology. Can you tell us a little bit about how that feels to be like published for the first time in an anthology like this?
Sam?
Thanks, Barbara.
Yeah, make Sam go first.
Throw me under the bus. I will be.
You get the book and you run around the room and you wave it and you woohoo and you tell everybody.
Me and Barbara had a good long conversation for a few hours, messaging each other on Facebook, which was lovely. I had a big cry. This is not news to the admins who I spoke to at the time. I was absolutely stunned. This is the 4th story I've written. So I've not written fiction since I was, I don't know, probably at least 20 years, maybe longer. And I started thanks to Will and the shorts that he was running, and obviously Kath helps with that as well. She's just run the last lot. And I just thought, do you know what? I'll have a go. And they're there. If anybody wants to look for my previous UK CBC shorts, that's the hashtag. And they are terrible. And I've purposely left them so people can kind of see how far you can come just with a bit of effort, a bit of support, reading some fantastic books, and really just having a go. So my husband's been on at me for years to just actually have a go. But the book club finally gave me that push, that thing of, well, I've committed to this now, so I need to get on with it. Like you said, Barbara, you know, you commit to something, you want to get on with it.
Yeah,
so
it was the book club as well that made me do it, because I wouldn't have done otherwise. I would have. I've written short stories and sort of scattered them everywhere and thought about them, and I've written research papers, but I don't think anybody here would want to read them. And they're mostly co-authored. No, it was, like you say, it was just having somebody encourage you, because when I wrote the shorts that are on the hashtag UK CBC shorts, so 2 or 3 people made nice noises, and it kind of encourages you, you know. I mean, they were probably just being nice, but it does help, and it's such a lovely community that it encourages you to have a go, and that's what I did.
And we're really glad we did.
Brian, you're here.
Brian!
Hello.
Hello.
I'm here at last. Technology gets in the way as usual.
We worked out the problem. Different links.
Yeah, different link. Sam obviously sent me a Duff one a couple of weeks back.
I sent you mine, not a Duff one, my link.
I see. Ah, right. They're all different, of course. Yes.
No.
There we go. So here I am.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your story, Brian? How are you
About
here?
myself. Okay. I'm old, going bald, overweight, poor. What else can I tell you? A little bit about myself. Yeah, Brian Caves, writing as Brian W. Caves. I've written in several different genres. Some books one book at least that Sam has been raving about, and Lucy and Kath for a while now, which was my first, 2019, 17 I wrote that, A Long Way From Home, set in the Deep South in 1961, and I've written a UK-based private detective story, follow up from a murder he has to investigate, several short stories, obviously for the UK CBC shorts, which I enjoy immensely, and also for the anthology, which the story I wrote there, I had terrific fun writing and was so grateful to be accepted and really honoured. And as Barbara has said, to be sat in there amongst some esteemed company is a pleasure indeed. It really is. I have to say, as yet, I have not read it. I had a copy, and my ex-wife, who's still very good friends with me, came round with her new partner and said, "Oh, what's that?" And I explained it to her, and she said, "Oh, that sounds good. Can I have it?" And I said, "Yeah." So I gave her the only copy I had. So unfortunately, I've not read anybody else's stories as yet, but I have promised Sam that I will look at hers first. Mind you, she's explained it a bit tonight on the live feed here, but
little bit.
Mine second.
Not too much.
Mine second, Brian.
Yours second. Okay, Barbara. Absolutely. No problem at all. So, yeah, I've downloaded the ebook now, and I will start reading it. But it looks like there's some terrific stories in there, and everybody's been so positive about it. As I say, it's been great fun to write for. It really, really has. Oh, plus the fact I write horror too, horror short stories.
Well, I'm going to butt in and I tried to have it in view with
Not this again.
Bills, but it's the old cover. This is what Kaz sent me a while ago.
The Burning Man.
The Burning Man. So this is the only one. I read everything on Kindle, but A Long Way From Home, everybody needs to go and buy it. I'm about to knock Mark Billingham and my granddad off my shelf. I'm just going to let it go. It's all going to fall off.
No, I've made a note about A Long Way From Home. I'm going to read that as well.
Yeah, you read that, Barbara.
I shall.
It'll be good for your soul.
And well, I don't know about that, but I will read it, I promise.
If you like Southern literature, Deep South Georgia, swamps, 1960, President was 61.
It's
President
my
Kennedy's first term in office. It's all set around race riots and things like that. So
yeah, it's my favorite. It's my favorite.
I've just Kaz just has dropped out for a minute, so Brian, send to yourself, my love, and
send to myself.
See your lovely face.
Yeah, send to yourself.
There we go. Oh no, other way. You never make a weather girl.
There we go.
There we go. So, how did it feel for you both to have a story in an anthology that's for such a good cause? I mean, Barbara, what made you? Obviously, I know you were just having a go, and then you felt compelled to carry on because it's such a good cause. Why was the cause so important to you?
I mean, obviously, the school, reading about the school and the things that they do is amazing, and I don't know how I would cope with, with if I had a child that had, those sorts of disabilities or whatever. And I just think it's amazing what they do. My granddaughter, when she was about 6 months old, fell and hit her head, and she developed epilepsy for a while. And then we were very worried about her. She's 2 now and seems to have recovered with medication and so on. But yeah, the patience, the amazing things they do for children like that, and they should have the same opportunities as everyone else, and they won't. If they're in a mainstream school, they're just not going to have that. And I just think it's really a wonderful thing.
Brian.
Yeah, I can only echo what Barbara has just said, really. When the opportunity came up on the Facebook page, and when I read a little bit about it, I thought to myself, well, I have to contribute to this. If I don't get accepted, okay, that'll be a disappointment, but at least I will have to contribute to it and send something in, because it's such a good cause. And as I cannot say any more really than Barbara has, that everybody deserves a chance, everybody deserves support, and so often and so often children especially miss out and are either just forgotten, neglected, whatever the case may be. But to have this kind of support and this kind of encouragement and patience and tuition and the ability to learn, and it's just tremendous. It really is absolutely tremendous. And I think, as we discussed, Sam, my daughter, although it's not directly linked, there's a kind of tenuous link. My daughter works in mental health area, and I've seen in various times her with adults, her with children, etc., and the kind of support that she's offered them doing what she does. And although she works mostly with adults now, she has worked with children in the past in schools and things like that. And just to see the progress that they can make, when they come from such an unfortunate start point through whatever circumstance, is motivating, to say the least. It really, really is. And I my heart goes out to anybody that works in this sector, because I don't think I could, but to have the patience and character that you need to spend your time with such children, to help and motivate them and bring them into the world through whatever way it may be, in terms of learning, or help them sort of learn with their disability, or whatever's happened to them. You know, you need, you know, your praises need to be sung from the highest hill, really, because
Yeah.
I couldn't do it, and it takes a special kind of person to be able to do that.
Yeah, and the people who put it together. I mean,
Yeah.
that was an amazing task to bring all those stories together and produce the book itself. It's not what I imagined at all. I don't know why, but you know, that it was a proper book. People, when I said that I'd got a story in a book, somebody said, "What a proper book," you know, and it was just wonderful. And lots of people for this kind of cause, they run marathons, you know, they shave all their hair off and that sort of thing. And I don't think that was really me, but I thought, well, at least this is something that I can have a go at. And if I can help by doing that, you know, then that's great. I don't think I could run a marathon.
Well, I used to years ago, but I certainly couldn't anymore. So that's not an option for me.
No.
Maybe when
So
I was 25.
Yeah. So if you can help in a different way, then
Of course.
that's good.
And I think the work that Will and Kath put in, and anybody else on the periphery of it that
Yeah.
helped.
And the
Tremendous.
photograph on the front.
Sorry?
On the photograph on the front, wasn't that Caroline who took that?
Yes, it was, wasn't it, Caroline?
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, she was asleep then.
Was it? Yeah. No, it was. It was my photograph on the front.
Very good.
Thank you.
Certainly, you know, it certainly sort of catches the eye, I think. I think it's really good.
Absolutely.
So is that it? There was a stony silence there.
Yeah.
You've got two hosts. Nobody knows who to speak first, so I'm going to take over. And while we've got, so let's. This is you hosting, Kaz. Yeah. So this is the cover, the photograph that Kaz took, which is fantastic.
It is.
So atmospheric. And then Will did all of the outside.
Will did the hard work.
Yeah, fantastic. And I did actually take this into school in my bag the other day, and I was going to show my class. I work in a primary school. We're going to show. I'm a teaching assistant. I'm not the teacher. I'm not nuts like Caroline. So I was going to show the kids, and then I thought I can't really show them because then they're going to go and look for it because they're all so tech savvy and I'm not. So I kind of went, right, well, can't show you that. I can't show you that. I can't show you this. Look, this is that's the, and then put it back in my bag quick. So they couldn't actually see any details because I work with like year 4. So they're all kind of 8 turning 9. So obviously I couldn't tell them the title, couldn't tell them anything about it. But I was like, they bring show and tell. I wanted to do show and tell.
Don't show them my story in it then. Don't get them to read that.
Won't be showing them anything. Can you imagine if they read mine? Will made a comment before about me being really sweet. I don't know what it was. I can't remember. I'd have to scroll up.
It's only because Will hasn't spent all the time with you. We have, Sam.
I think he's got a good grasp of who I am. And again, I'm sorry, Ben, for accidentally taking credit for your story. Mine's called 6 pieces each, not 6 minutes. I saw the word 6 and got overexcited.
Before we wrap up, we've got a comment here that I know is from my dad because I know that this is his ambition in life, even though it says Facebook user. He says, we'd love to get over 2,000 copies sold. It would help the school and only represent 20% of our membership. Has to be my dad. It's his ambition for the number of sales, and it's got amazing maths in, which I couldn't have done.
Well, let's see what we can do. Do you know how many we've sold so far?
We'd have to ask Will because he published
we'll have
it.
to get back to you. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get back to you.
Who the hell? There's a message here that says, "Get the beers out, Brian."
Let's have a look. That is
I can't
See
see.
me as scrolling, looking.
Yeah, it's right at the bottom. So I can see.
It's the final one.
Get the beers out, Brian, it says.
I'm intrigued.
If only I could, but I don't drink alcohol.
It's Joe Singleton who said it. And Will says the cover looks better on the ebook because the print version makes it darker.
Okay.
But yeah, when we had our chat, Brian, you had a Pepsi, didn't you? Have you got Pepsi again? Not that we're saying that Pepsi is better than Coca-Cola, just putting that out there.
White wine.
I can't drink. Good for you,
Lager.
Barbara.
But it's
Lager
not.
my granddad's mug.
Actually, it's
Mine's
raw.
empty, but it had gin in.
Well, we've got half a gallon of rum in the can, but don't tell anybody. No, no, I don't drink, so it's Diet Pepsi. I can't drink Coke. It's got to be Pepsi or, you know.
It gives me the hiccups. So
I know how to live. You know, aging rock god drinking Diet Pepsi, eh?
I think probably you're not the only one.
So thank you so much, Brian and Barbara, for joining us tonight.
Pleasure.
It's been amazing.
She's holding me hostage. Blink a lot if you want to leave.
We really appreciate you adding a story to our anthology.
Well, I appreciate being chosen.
Yeah,
so
me
much.
too.
Just,
Yeah, my pleasure. Really, really,
really is.
Yeah.
And we look forward to you joining us again for another chat.
Well, when I write my first book.
Yeah, next May for me. It's a bit of a while yet.
No, well, I haven't even got started yet, so I'm retiring next year, so I might think about it then.
So this short story, Barbara, sorry to extend this. That was your first story, was it?
My first published short story. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've done the short, the shorts in the website, in the Facebook page, but I've never I've never been published before. That's why I was so thunderstruck and honoured and amazed and gobsmacked and every other thing that you can think of when I actually got in there with all those wonderful authors and icons and things. It would have been great if we could have all met in London or somewhere in a bookshop.
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it have been? Yes.
And had a party.
Yeah.
Book two, Kath and Will, get ready.
Okay, book two.
Oh, of course. We've got the Christmas UKBC shorts coming up. Diet Coke. It could be an age thing. Yeah, so we've got another short story to write.
And you've got poems in January, is that right?
Yes. Yeah, it is, yeah.
Oh, something I can't do.
You can never say you can't do. You can always do something.
Well,
might be rubbish, but
I've got a brilliant one to end on, Brian. If Baldrick can write boom, 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 then you can write a poem.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'll have to put the I have a cunning plan hat on.
Yeah.
See what I can come up with.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you both.
Thank you both for coming.
See you soon.
Okay. Bye. Oh, how do I get out? Thank you.
Thanks everyone for coming tonight.
Well, that went well, didn't it? When I knocked everything off my shelf, which I always say I'm going to do. At least it didn't land on my head this time.
Yeah.
That has happened before. Right, let's do this. End of.
You're opening the Prosecco.
I am, but with so it doesn't go everywhere, and it didn't. I'm not allowed a cork.
That's probably safe. Tell us more about the future short stories and poems. That's Joe Singleton.
Hey, Joe.
Joe.
Cheers, everyone.
My cup's empty, but cheers.
I'd pour you some in. I don't know why I went to do it.
Joe, the Santa's shorts will be happening in the run up to Christmas. Keep an eye out and use the hashtag UKCBC shorts to follow it. They just get posted in the group and you can read them in there, all free and all there for everyone to read, and you can go back and read all the old ones from before as well. And the poem event happens in January, so if you want to submit a poem, just let us know.
Can I just I've got my list of people who couldn't come. So Kath Middleton, Paula Williams, Bill Todd, John Penfold, who wrote as Harvey John, Mike Kerr, who is Mike Smale, and we've got Andy Barrett as well. Thank you all. Have I missed anybody? If I have,
Andy Barrett hasn't made it tonight, but hopefully we'll get him at another time.
We will absolutely get him at another time. But thank you everyone who's donated a story. Thank you everyone who's just been fantastic. Kath and Will, oh my word. You and your dad did a bit of, part of the introduction, a little introduction each, foreword, whatever you want to call it. Your fantastic photograph, which is behind my head. It's just been such an incredible collaboration.
Just my walk to work. Just happens that my walk to work looks like a creepy horror movie sometimes. It gets immortalised in a photo.
I think my husband and probably not my kids, but I've actually watched this one as well, this interview.
Woohoo!
Oh, finally some
Exciting.
interest. I've got my my champagne flutes. That's all the letters that are left on it. I can't actually remember what it said on it. I put it through the dishwasher by accident. It's about 3 years ago. I don't ever drink Prosecco, but Bill Todd is who I've not. I did mention him. He said send him any leftover champagne with Mancini, and there's
not going to be any leftover champagne. But yeah, so I think all that's left to say is a thank you, isn't it? And
it is.
Go and buy the shorts.
And myself and Kaz will be announcing the winner of the 2 paperback copies kindly donated by your gorgeous dad and your mum tomorrow. So that will be by the end of the day tomorrow. We'll put something in the group. And there have been so many comments. I can't wait to go back and have a look. I'm a bit kind of, I'm not normally so lost for words as I was at the beginning of our interview. It's very surreal, and I have a newfound understanding of why everyone's terrified.
You were great. And your story is fabulous as well.
Thank you.
Next time when you write a novel, we'll have you back on for a full hour's author chat.
Absolutely not.
It will happen. I'll come to your house and make it happen.
I will be sticking to interviewing other people. This is terrifying. How do people do this, Kaz? How? Andy Barrett, I should say, did say to me, well, you're fair game now. And oh my word, doesn't it feel like that?
Yeah, it's true. He's correct.
So should we just end with a thank you for all of the comments? Thank you for everybody who's entered the competition. Thank you to you and I suppose myself for hosting. That's a very weird thing to say. And thank you to everyone who's donated a story, taken part of the Kate to stepping in last minute. That must have been quite scary, and she was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,